Getting out of your 9 to 5 is actually only a few moves away, and there's a certain set of skills that you're going to need to embark on this journey, but there is one skill that trumps absolutely every other. And in this video, I'm going to share exactly how I use that skill to break away from my 9 to 5, build my net worth to multiple six figures, and live a life that's fully on my own terms. And I think the context here to add is that if you think about why you're in a 9 to 5, well, chances are you're probably there to receive the money that they give you for doing the things that they tell you to do. And so when you recognize that, then we realize, what is the problem here? We need to learn how to make money. And this skill that I'm going to tell you about is directly correlated to how we can make that money. And I'll use my own example of how I broke away from a very high paying career in tech companies working in sales to now having my own Airbnb business that I run from anywhere in the world, while it is back in the UK doing its thing. Now, there are many skills that go into building a business and automating the business and systemizing and hiring and so on. But as I look back on my own journey, I think this one skill has been the most pivotal. And I started in tech sales, so that was very alluring because it has high salary, you can earn lots of good money, you can get commission, but most people in tech sales will tell you that it's quite soulless. You don't actually enjoy being there. You're just there to get the money, and that thing can eat your years for breakfast. All of a sudden you wake up and you're like, oh, another 2 years have passed. I've jumped to another sales job. I've got a 5% increase on my salary each year. Where's my life gone? And that's kind of hard. That's very hard to stomach that. And so I was stuck to that because I needed the money. And you might be the same as well. If you're in a high paying job or even a medium paying job or a low paying job, you're probably stuck there because of the money you're getting. So let's talk about how you can actually get the money using this skill and hopefully break away from that yourself. So as I mentioned, my vehicle that I built is Airbnb management. So I just provide a service to landlords, take care of the operations of their Airbnb, and I take a percentage of the booking revenue. Really, really simple, scalable model that can be started by anyone in the world, anywhere. And in the past 3 years since building that business, I've started to coach other people so they can break out of their 9 to 5s and just use the same blueprint that I've been using. And so in building both of those businesses, I've had to leverage this skill over and over and over again to get me where I am. So what skill am I referring to here? I'm talking about relationship building. Now, underneath relationship building, you might have lots of other subsets of skills such as sales, communication, listening, and so on. But for the purpose of this video, I'm going to just talk about relationship building as a whole and how it can compound to you quitting your 9 to 5. So why is this important? Well, if you think about any business, any person who has created income for themselves, they don't just do it alone. Like, sure, there's some crypto millionaires and so on, but if you're like most people, you probably don't want to get into that space. You probably want to build a business for yourself, and a business is built off relationships. Relationships in the form of your suppliers, your customers, your clients, your employees, people who help you set it up, your accountant. Everyone is in this web and are hung together by relationships. And as I think back to building my own Airbnb business and my own Airbnb coaching business, this is all hinged on the relationships that I've built in order to make this function. So if you think about the cleaners, the maintenance team, my clients, my accountant, my legal team, all these people are part of this web that I've established a connection with. And because I've established that connection with them, my business can function without me. All the clients who own the properties, who give me those properties, they trust me because I've built a relationship with them. All the people who come to me for Airbnb coaching come to me because they've developed some relationship with me through the content that I'm creating that has helped them in some way or another. And this isn't something that came natively to me while I was in my 9 to 5, but since I've left, I've realized just how much this has compounded for me over the past 3 years. And so if your brain's firing right now and you're thinking, how do I operationalize relationship building? How do I make this something I do consistently and effectively? What is the key ways I can do this? And I'm going to tell you that now in a sec. And there's one key thing that you can do when thinking of relationship building that will help you get further along much, much quicker. And that is simply by taking care of people, putting other people first before you go and take care of yourself. I'll give you an example of how this might look. So I used to go to networking events quite a lot when I was trying to build my Airbnb business. Why? Because I needed to be introduced to landlords, and people in networking events would have gotten to know me and therefore been a little bit more likely to introduce me to someone in their network. Alongside that, networking is also a very valuable skill to have to be able to improve your communication and also just put yourself in rooms with people that you wouldn't have otherwise been with. Now, when it comes to taking care of people in those rooms, you can do this on a very micro level, even in the conversations that you're having. So for example, if you go to a networking event, you just want to make sure that you talk for 75-80% of that conversation about the other person. Ask them how they are. Ask them what business they've got. Ask them why they created that business. Ask them what their dreams are. People like to talk about themselves, and it's really nice for somebody to feel like you're interested in them. And in doing so, that person will be 10 times more likely to be interested in you, and they'll remember you. And this is just a small example of how you can take care of people and develop relationships, but this translates to big picture stuff. When you're creating a deal, think to yourself, how can I make this good for the other person? How can I take care of them? How can I make this a no-brainer for the person that I'm working with? If you can go about your business and your life in that way, I promise you, your outcomes will just change drastically over time. If you're listening to this and you're thinking, yes, I get it, relationship building makes sense, but I don't really know where to start in terms of building a business. As I mentioned, I do coach people in how to build the Airbnb business that I run. It's something I'm really passionate about. I really do love working with people to get them out of the 9 to 5. It's very rewarding for me, and I just like to support people as they go on that journey. So if you want to talk about potentially going on that journey with my support, there's a link in the bio below. We can have a 15-minute call where we can talk a little bit about what your goals are. And if it makes sense, I can schedule a further call and we can talk a lot about the program in a bit more depth. So the link is below if you want to do that. But outside that, if you just think going forward that your number one skill that you need to cultivate to get out of that 9 to 5 is the relationships that you build, you will go very, very far. And I promise you, your life will change.